So we're talking about the feet, and I mentioned collapse before, and what I meant by that is there are a lot of people that shuffle their way along, and they can collapse in the shoulder, which is very common. It's a lot of sitting, whether it's couch, desk, or both, or car. There's a lot of slouching going on out there. Now, if a farmer out in the field or a hunter-gatherer, with all of that physical work, and if their biomechanics were good when they were doing that, I mean, I think it's really hard to go out and hoe incorrectly. I think you're going to be in pain and pulling muscles very quickly if you're not doing things with the proper biomechanics. Same thing for hunting and gathering. How are you going to catch an animal with improper biomechanics? How are you going to cut them up and drag them home, or put them on your shoulder and walk 3 miles, 10 miles home? Very tough to do with improper biomechanics. How hard is it to work an average day of 8 to 10 hours of sitting in improper biomechanics?
How hard is it to have improper biomechanics every day with a desk job?
Well, no, how hard would it be to pull off that 35-year career with improper biomechanics without any ibuprofen and without visits to people like you for posture therapy?
It was almost impossible.
Almost impossible. But people do it, and you've seen them. There are a lot of people out there like this with the carpal tunnel wrist braces on. So
well, you see people, I mean, the results of a lifestyle like that tends to, you have degenerative hips, you have degenerative knees, you have spondylolisthesis, you have
completely blocked sometimes.
You have degenerative disc disease, you have all assortment of things besides high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease. I mean,
postures related to organ function, lymphatic system, everything.
Right. I mean, you can look up Dr. Joan Vernikos and her work on sitting kills, movement heals. Have you read that book?
Yeah.
And I mean, all the sitting is the new smoking, right?
Yeah.
Which I agree with to a certain extent. But their number one thing, and this all comes from NASA's research, right? Their number one thing was posture. And so good posture is good biomechanics, like you're saying. So for someone to be behind a desk all day, you're literally killing that person, or you're killing yourself if you're deciding to live within that means of work.
If you didn't move all day, even with your knowledge and your ability and posture, what would happen to you if you were stuck behind a desk where all of your things were right there, the photocopier, the fax, the water machine, the coffee? If it was all right there and you didn't move all day, what would happen to someone like you who knows what they're doing and has put themselves in a pretty good posture alignment?
What would happen?
Yeah.
If I was stuck behind a desk all day, I would go insane.
So mentally first and then your body?
Yes, mentally first and then my body. I mean, I'm sure I'd be in a lot of pain. I'm sure my back would hurt. I'm sure my hips would hurt. I'm sure
your wife wouldn't appreciate your demeanor.
No. I'd probably quit within the first day.
That's quite a long tenure you're setting yourself up for.
No, I wouldn't stand for it. I'd rather be homeless.
This is why Isaac doesn't have a book written, and I've got 2 coming out and a couple other ones before that. But anyway, Isaac's doing it on video because he can move around a little bit versus being locked into the computer. So the feet and collapsing. So I see a lot of people, you can go the duck foot, and so you can be duck-footed and you can go pigeon-toed without pronating and supinating, correct? You could just kind of shuffle along and duck and pigeon, patty cake on the surface, shuffling along, and then collapsing your hips, your shoulders, everything. And there are a lot of people, that's how they live. And so the new normal has become, in some respects, the bad biomechanics. Obesity has become the new norm. If you look at the World War II documentaries of people, whether they're 18 or 30, they all kind of look like I look and like you look. They don't have a lot of flesh. Even the guys that were the bigger builds didn't have a lot of muscle and fat on their body. Hoss Cartwright from Bonanza was a rarity that somebody was 250 pounds. They were very rare in the 1940s. You had them, but they were rare. Now you see that all the time, and so I become the anomaly, being the ectomorph. If I'm playing golf, there are guys that are in their 20s that have like a head this big with cheeks that go into a neck that big. They fill up an XL shirt and they go out and play golf, and some are very good at golf, but that's become the new norm. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we're actually facing I would like to say a sensory motor amnesia epidemic. And what that means is that when people have sensory motor amnesia, in the sense that the lifestyle has become so sedentary, as in your book, that the muscles tend to form a temporary amnesia of not moving. So the body has a simple rule of you don't use it, you lose it. And that's what, a lot of the research from NASA
and so its reaction is to produce this amnesia. What does that do? How does that help us survive that amnesia?
Well, how do you mean?
Well, if there is some process in the body, I would think that it would have some reason for forming itself that way. Is it to kill us off, or is it to help us survive the sensory amnesia?
Well, it's more of a stimulus response result. Your environment that you put yourself in every day, you respond to it in a certain way. Is it killing us on purpose? Yes. And no at the same time. Is it doing it because it wants to do it? No, but it's just how the body responds. I mean, it's responding in a negative way, right? If you're sitting all day, all the things that are happening to you when you're cardiovascular, you're sitting on your butt all day.
Your
Think about
musculoskeletal, it's all falling apart.
You're sitting on muscles all day long. They're like sponges, right? They should be pumping blood. You're sitting on this. How can this sponge be pumping things, right? It can't, because you're cutting off blood flow. It's getting flatter and flatter and flatter until it becomes fat. When muscle atrophies, it becomes fat. So, is the body doing this on purpose? Yes. Does it know that it's detrimental to its survival? Yes. But it cannot change it unless the mind goes, I'm done with this, or I'm going to do something about this to change it. It won't change until it happens. The body responds to its environment.